my name's Lauren and welcome back to my channel, Lauren and Her Library. Today I'll be doing an unhaul video. So most of these books I have either not read or I've read them and I'm not going to reread them. I moved into my house in June this year, so a few months ago, and these are basically the books that I had in storage, and when I put my bookshelves together I decided that I didn't want to keep them anymore. So I have over 50 books. Majority of them are ones that I haven't read and I bought before I realized what kind of genre I was into the most. So a lot of these are like chick licks that I just paid like $1 for at like the book festival or something like that, or I've been given as gifts and I'm not interested in them, or some of them are even double ups that I already have. So there are over 50 books here that I'm going to unhaul. I don't know a lot about most of them because, like I said, I haven't read most of them. So I'm just going to really show you guys what I'm getting rid of. And on some of them I'll give you like a brief description as to why, but most of them I just don't feel like reading. It's just not something that I'm interested in reading anymore. So I'm puffed from moving all of those books already. Alright, so the first one I have is Him, Her, Him Again, The End of Him by Patricia Marks. I don't even know what this is. Most of these are honestly just chick licks that I thought was the genre that I wanted to read when I was really young. And when I went to Bookfest, all of them were $1, so every time I went, I just picked up like a handful of them every time. But I never read most of them. The ones that I have read have made me realize that it's something that I don't want to read. I just don't enjoy them. So this one, I don't know anything about it. Just an average chick lit. It's called Breakup Because It's Broken. I probably bought this when I was going through a breakup and I was like, yeah, I'll be able to relate to that. I'm just gonna read it, and I just never picked it up because it's the New York Times bestselling author of He's Just Not That Into You. That's also a book I have in this unhaul. It's probably why I picked it up in the first place. I read that book. I'll get to that when I unhaul that one. But yeah, didn't end up reading this one. I have How to Convince a Boy to Kiss You. I have read this one. I read this one when I was still a teenager. It was just like a contemporary novel that was okay. I don't actually remember much of it. I think it was like something about Romeo and Juliet. Honestly, I couldn't even tell you. I think I even have the sequel because I read that one too. I think this is the sequel. Is this the sequel? Wow. I'm on a roll today. Oh. I have a plane ticket in here. Alright, I don't even know. Yeah, so this one is the sequel. How to Keep a Boy from Kissing You is the first book in the series, and the duology. I don't even know if there's more than this, but I read both of them. They were okay. I'm never going to read them again. It's much too young of a genre for me now. So yeah, these are going. I have Replica by Lauren Oliver. I believe I'd read one of her books before and I really enjoyed it. This is an ex-library book. I think I paid $2 for it. I didn't end up reading it. It's not in great condition, but it's just something that I don't feel like I'm going to be interested in reading anymore. So I'm getting rid of this one. I have Still Alice by Lisa Genova. I know that this is a movie and I was really interested in the dementia aspect of this book, but I never actually ended up picking it up. It might be a little bit too sad for me. I don't really enjoy sad books, and something as hard-hitting as this isn't just something that I'm not interested in reading at this time of my life. So I'm going to donate this one as well. Now the next one I have is Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire in hardcover. My mum gave me this and said it was mine when she moved house, but I honestly don't own the Harry Potter hardcovers, and I don't know where the rest of them are. I don't know why there's just one hardcover. So I don't need it. I already have them in paperback and I like the paperback edition more. So I'm just gonna give this to someone who actually will read it. I also have How to Love by Casey Kotungo. I just butchered that, I'm so sorry. This one's really damaged. I think when I dog sitted my sister's dog, he tried to eat it, so it's a bit bent and stuff like that. I did read this one obviously when I was a lot younger as a teenager. I honestly don't remember any of it, and I don't feel like I would want to read it again. I feel like it was like a little just cliche contemporary, something that I'm not going to reread at all. Alright, so that was the first pile of 3 piles. Okay, so the next pile I have, I'll begin with Cassandra Clare, Lady Midnight. I already have this one. I think I bought this one first, and then when the others came out, they came out in a larger size, so this one didn't fit the size difference. So I just bought the other one in the bigger size as well, so that they would all match. So I don't need 2 of them. Some more chick lit. I got The One That Got Away by Jessica Fox and Tangled Up in You by Rachel Gibson. I don't know anything about these. I don't want to read them. I also found this one while I was unpacking the box that they're all in, and it's called The Piano Teacher by Lynn York. I don't even know why I have this. I don't even remember buying this because it's not something that I would have picked up. So maybe this one was gifted to me. I don't remember. So yep, no thanks. I also have So Much to Tell You by John Marsden. I've read this book. It's really short. I read it in like a day. I didn't love it. It was quite boring. The end was really anticlimactic and I didn't enjoy it, so don't want to reread it. The next 2 I got are Marked and Betrayed. For some reason I feel like they're not the first book, or they're not one after the other. I got gifted them and I don't really remember. Oh, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know anything about them. I don't really have much interest in reading them, so I'm not going to keep them. The next one I have is Unbearable Lightness by Portia de Rossi. I have read this one. I really enjoyed it. It was very hard-hitting and something that I could definitely relate to in my life. I think now, looking back at the story, it's really hard for me to keep it. It just reminds me of times where I wasn't happy with myself. So I don't want memories of that, so I'm going to get rid of this one. It was a really remarkable book though, but I can't do it. So the next one I have are a couple of Nicholas Sparks mass market paperbacks. I've read both of them. They were okay. I like his books, but these ones weren't my favourites. So I'm not going to keep them, I'm not going to reread them. I also have The Time Traveler's Wife by Audrey, oh no. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that because I'm going to butcher it. This one's not in great condition. I was also given this one, I think. Or yeah, I think my mum gave me this one. I read it, it was okay. It's nothing that stood out to me. Obviously adult romances and things like that are something that I don't thoroughly enjoy most of the time, so it's not something that I'm going to reread. I have Trafficked by Sophie Hayes. I read this one and I read it a few years ago now, and I still remember so much of this story. I felt like it was such a hard-hitting novel. It's based on, it's written by it's a true story, and it was honestly, it was so scary to read that someone can be forced into the sex trade and like forced into prostitution, and like the things that happened in her life were just so scary to me, and it's to know that it's real life. And yeah, it was definitely a hard read, but it was something that I really enjoyed reading anyway, but I'm not going to reread it, so I don't need to keep it. Okay, here we go. So I have He's Just Not Into You. I read this at a point in my life where I feel like I needed this. It definitely helped me, but looking back on it now, it's not something that I really need to know or I really want to reread. So the next book I have is Until Friday Night by Abby Glines. I want to say I bought this in June at the Lifeline Book Festival here in Brisbane. I paid like $3 for it. I read it, didn't like it, felt like it was really outdated. The main love interest was really possessive, and the whole love aspect, the romantic aspect of this book was not something that I enjoyed, so I'm not going to continue on with the series. The next one I have is Integrate by Adele Jones. I bought this at Supernova in April. I read it. I wanted to enjoy it, but I just couldn't get into it. This is essentially about a boy named Blaine. He had some sort of sickness when he was young, and he got cured by gene therapy, and now people are after him because of the genes that he has now or something rather. It was just like way too scientific for me. Just went straight over my head. The author who wrote it also has a PhD, I believe, in some sort of science, so like her knowledge of this was way above what mine is, and I just really found it hard to connect with because I didn't understand the science around it. Okay, so the next few I have are Beautiful Disaster and Walking Disaster by Jamie Maguire. I read both of these while I was in my early mid-teens, I'm gonna say. I enjoyed the first one a lot. I remember like going to work and reading it on my break and coming back from my break, and I had stopped in a really good spot and all I could think about was what was going to happen. So at the time I really enjoyed them. I don't think it's something that I'm going to enjoy now. I was really disappointed with the second book because it's literally the first book in someone else's point of view, so there was no suspense. I already knew what was going to happen. I just didn't like that. I was really disappointed when I picked up the second book, so I don't need these ones anymore. Alright, the next one I have is The Clever One by Helena Close. I remember buying this one. It was like $7 at a bookstore. I was intrigued by the premise at the time, but now it's just not really something that I'm interested in reading. Honestly, I couldn't even tell you anything about it now, so another one that I don't need. This is where it gets a little bit funny, because I went through a stage where I wanted to read and I just didn't know what I wanted to read, so I went out and bought all of these crime books because my mum really loves crime, and I thought, like mother like daughter, maybe I'll love crime. So I bought like tons of, not even that many, but I bought a fair few crime books, and I read this one, The Savage Altar. I literally maybe made it into like the 50 pages mark, and it talked about like someone being decapitated and like their bits being everywhere in a church and like the blood spatter, and I just remember reading this and being so grossed out and so spooked, and I was like, oh, true crime or even crime is not for me. It's not something that I can read. Having that really like gruesome aspect of it is just something that I do not enjoy. I'm a bit of a scaredy cat, I'm a bit of a wuss. I just can't do it. So this one, The Passenger by Chris Pettit, also crime, not going to read it, nope. The Face of Death by Cody McFadden, another crime one, not going to read it. Possession by James Peters, nope, Peter James. Honestly, I don't even really know much about this one. I think it's still to do with crime, so I don't want to read it. Which other ones are? Contact Zero by David Wollstonecraft, creator of Spooks. Nope, I don't want to be spooked, so no thank you. Alone by Lisa Garner, also another crime one. No thank you. I think this one is too. My Best Friend by Laura Wilson, another crime book. Don't want to read it. The Safe House by Nikki French, another crime book. Why did I buy all of these crime books without reading one of them first to realize if I liked it or not? Honestly, this is what I do. I'm the worst when it comes to buying books. What is this? There's something in here. Oh look, a bookmark maybe? At the start of the book, I hadn't even started it. Missing Girl by Norma Fox Mazer. Again, another crime book. Why do I do this to myself? I think that's all of the crime ones I have. Oh no. The Girl in the Cellar by Patricia Wentworth. I read this at the start of 2016. I still remember it as the most boring book I've ever read in my life. I hated it. I honestly hated it. It was so boring. Nothing happened and nothing was resolved, and I just, no thank you. Oh, another one. Always Alice by Harriet Lane. I read this one too. Nothing happened. I didn't understand it. No, not for me. And now we come to more of the chick flicks that I bought. Honestly, this is what I do. I think that I'm gonna like a genre, and then I just buy so many books for that genre. It's not even funny. It's honestly a little embarrassing. Okay, so we have, I'm just going to go through them really quick because there's so many of them. How to Sleep with a Movie Star, Playing James, Lost in Words, Girlfriend 44, A Time Like No Other, Asking for Trouble, Working Wonders, Head Over Heels, oops, Decent Exposure, Remember the First Time, If You Could See Me Now, and French Kiss. Oh wait, there's another one. The Heartbreaker. Honestly, that is all of them. There were so many. I'm glad I just sped through those. I honestly don't know anything about them. Don't want to read them. I have 4 Sarah Dessen books. I have That Summer, This Lullaby, Someone Like You, and The Truth About Forever. I've read all 4 of these. They were okay. I read them when I was much younger. Not something that I'm going to be interested in anymore. So I'd give them to a better home. And then the last one I have, I never thought I'd get to the end. This is honestly the longest video I've ever filmed, I feel like. I have Embrace by Jessica Trivington. I remember buying this one and being really interested about it, but I honestly never picked it up. It's just something that I wasn't interested in. I feel like, oh no, it is the first book. But yeah, I don't know, I went through that stage where I liked paranormal romance and stuff like that, and it's just, is it even paranormal romance? I feel like it might be. But yeah, it's just not something that I'm interested in anymore. I definitely like fantasy more and sci-fi. So yeah, these are all of the books that I'm going to be unhauling. That was a wild ride. Thank you if you stayed till the end. If you enjoyed my video, please feel free to like and subscribe. And let me know in the comments below if you've read any of these books or if you are interested in any of these books, and yeah, tell me what you thought about them if you've read them. I'll see you next video. Bye!